You're right. All right, welcome to the Qualified Business Champions mini-series, where we highlight a recent graduate on how they create more purpose, more profit, and productivity all around them. So today we're going to welcome to the mini-series Peggy Fowler. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here, Spencer. Thank you.
Awesome. So I get the opportunity, the blessing really, of being able to come to your office here where you work out of. And this is actually here at the Keller Williams office in downtown Columbia.
The newly opened Keller Williams office in downtown Columbia.
Yeah. So that it's a beautiful facility. So I'm going to use my little iPad to keep me on track. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it takes a lot to keep me on track. I think we kind of already alluded to it, but just to give everybody a sense a little bit about what you do, who you are, that kind of thing. Tell us what industry you're in, maybe how long you've been doing it, and also a sense of production.
Okay. So I became licensed November the 3rd of 2003. And then 3 years later, I received my broker's license. I'm a realtor, obviously. And I'm currently the broker in charge at the Keller Williams Palmetto office downtown. Mm-hmm. And we do about between 10 and 11 million a year in production. Right.
Awesome. So you got in 2003, and this is 2019 right now, so 16 years of experience. You're now doing the compliance brokerage work for the Keller Williams here in the downtown office, which that's a big deal in itself.
Yes.
I've always believed that working with real estate agents is like herding cats. Because most real estate agents, and I say this because I have personal experience, we tend to have the attention span of a gnat. So
that's right.
So 16 years in the business, broker in charge, and 10 to 11 million. Now, just for point of reference so that everybody else knows, I think the average real estate agent, if the numbers are still right, like 7, 8, maybe up to 10 in a year.
Yes.
Does that sound about right?
For the 4,100 or so within the MLS.
Yeah. Here in Columbia, in this area, there's 4,100. That's the first time I've heard that number.
Yes.
Wow.
Currently, we're in a hot market.
Currently in a hot market, so a lot of people are getting into this real estate business thing. And with 4,100 agents, you guys doing 10 million on an average. Here in Columbia, the average sales price would be
185.
185. So if you took 10 million and divided by 185,000, you're going to get the number of transactions and get a sense that it's probably way more than 10 deals. So I just want to make sure everybody understood what the level of production actually is. But Peggy is also into a lot more than just that. So before I get too far into the business stuff, let me just ask you this. Tell us a little bit about yourself, family, maybe previous career, that kind of thing. Okay.
Well, I've been married for 30 years. Very happy about that. We have 4 children together. We have 3 grandchildren. So that's all good. In my previous life, I was a paralegal. I worked with my husband, who's an attorney. And I did that for 16 years. The first time I went to real estate school, I was 20. And then I realized that that's probably not how I was going to make a living.
Wow.
At 20. So I got into the paralegal and secretary work. And that's him.
Wow.
And then when my youngest was in high school, I went back and got my real estate license because I always knew that was what I wanted to do.
So 20 years old, you wanted to get in real estate, thought about it, and then you decided, yeah. And then you did 16 years in paralegal work.
Well, I had, different jobs in my 20s, but in my mid-20s, I decided that was the route I needed to go. So I did the paralegal studies at Midland Stack, and then I worked for attorneys on estates, probates, and things like that. And so I actually married Tommy, and then I went to work with him in his business.
Nice. Okay. So then you guys met, and then you worked with him in his business, and eventually you chose to get back into the real estate once your daughter was in high school. I heard you say?
Yes.
Okay.
My youngest went to high school, and I went in sales 43.
Wow. That's awesome. So I'm guessing there's some transferable skills that you brought into the real estate business from your paralegal days.
Being able to read a contract was helpful. And understanding, having just a little sense of what gets you into trouble and out of trouble is helpful.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of real estate agents really think about all that, the legal parts of how important understanding a contract is. Most of the time, the perception of a real estate agent is to run around showing houses and doing all the marketing fun, and don't realize the intensity the legal aspect of the whole thing,
Exactly.
right? So I can understand that. All right, well, while at the mastermind that you came to, you had actually taught everyone, and your subject was one of the ones that everybody really leaned in on. We actually ended up, I came up on stage, and I asked you a ton of questions, and then the whole room got really buzzing. So what was your topic?
My topic was moving people forward from where they are to where maybe they want to be.
Okay, so moving people forward. That sounds like such a broad statement. So maybe to help everyone else, when you go all the way back to the very first night and we asked those questions and we said, write down 3 things, and everybody voted for you to speak on that one subject. What do you think it was about that subject that really piqued all the interest of the business owners that were there?
Well, I think when you ask somebody, name 3 things you're good at, most people would struggle at it. And I think when I said that topic, moving people forward, I think maybe people could sense that I was passionate about it. And that was something that really does make me excited, is to be able to talk to people where they're at and, keep asking questions, see, find out where they want to be.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think the transferable question, or the way that really works for a lot of people, benefit-wise, is if you're in sales, you need to understand some of the skills that you shared, how to move people forward. When you're building a real estate business, or any kind of business for that matter, or a team, let's just put it that way, you're putting people on your team, helping people in your team grow and do better, do more. You need to know how to move them forward. So those are, I think it piqued everybody's attention because they all had different varying reasons why they need to help people move forward.
Right.
So can you give us a brief overview of what you shared as far as how to do that? Do you remember like the 1, 2, 3 punch conversation? I know you didn't bring your notes with you, but
I think the 1, 2, 3 punch is like, you've got to be able to spot people's talents. When you start talking to people, they start lighting up when they start talking about things that they like, that they enjoy. And if you can figure out a way to get them into that spot, we call it the seat on the bus, to where that's where they're going to excel and thrive and enjoy getting up every day and coming out into the world and working in whatever their chosen field is. And I think that's one thing, because a lot of times people just don't know until somebody starts digging in and asking them questions.
So step 1 would be digging in and asking them about themselves. What do they enjoy? What don't they enjoy? Personality type questions.
Absolutely. And we have a tool at Keller Williams that I love to use. It's the KPA. And it helps people really hone into what is it that gets them excited, and where does their strength lie.
Right. So in the KPA, for everyone else, it's a personality assessment. So you could use a program like DISC or Myers-Briggs. The KPA allows you, just like all the other ones, you can go through these different responses that they give. Actually, you don't know the responses, but it spits out for you a kind of a, what would you call it, a report?
I call it a map to where their strengths are and where they would be a good fit.
Right.
You could literally plug them in based on that KPA to a position that they would fit or that they would thrive in.
Yeah, and that's a big tool. So learn the person, use the tools to understand them better, and then, of course, through the process of what most of these companies use, the next step would be validating that report. So you go through and have that conversation, and even deepens the relationship even further.
It does, because you really get to find out what they're most passionate about. And if you can get them into that, I mean, wouldn't you like to wake up every day and just go do something you love to do?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think some of the biggest challenges we have, at least I've seen, is, taking someone who's not naturally interested in sales. They go into sales and then beat themselves up. They see it as a personal issue of their own, that they can't do that, and that makes them a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they could be extremely good at the organization and the processes and the systems to make all of that run.
Exactly.
And that has high value for someone who is in sales, and vice versa. So you identify the person, you talk to them a little bit more about themselves. We validate personality types and that kind of thing. Is there anything else as far as how do you now help move that person forward?
That's nurtured. I mean, you have to nurture. It's almost like a mentoring process to where you remind them of what their hopes and dreams are and where they want to be. That's what I like, is just being able to stay in touch with them and talk to them until they get to the point where they're confident enough to take the next step, whatever that may be, to move them forward.
Right.
Because the point isn't just to get in a spot and sit there. It's to grow and develop. I think personal growth and development is underutilized, undervalued. I think people will plug you into a spot and move you set there and I like to see
the older belief systems. That is pretty much the way it used to be. You did a job till you retired, and then you're done.
Right.
This isn't theory either for you, because your team, and I don't necessarily expect you to go into like talking about individuals on the team, but I actually have met all of the members on the team except for one, I think. And I have personally seen how you have poured into them, and they have just exponentially grown as a person. They've all, we're not just talking about doing a really good job with their work. We're talking about like paying off debts and just amazing things. Health, doing things in their health.
Right.
And you wouldn't expect that from, I come to work and work in a real estate team, and suddenly I like to come to work and my health is better and my finances are better and my family's better.
I know.
It's not fair.
Exciting. And that's, again, in each one of those facets of somebody's life, if they're moving forward, it's because they're choosing to, because they're happy where they are, and they want to continue to do better.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned one thing. I'm going to kind of slow down and go back a little bit, because when I said, how do you do that? You pointed out, and it's something that we talk about a bit when we're working with individuals or a company, it's about focus. And I heard you say, I asked them about their future. Do they want to remind them of their goals? It sounds like you're consistent and repetitive about helping them focus on where they're headed.
We do a vision board in January every year. And a lot of times the vision board doesn't change, it just grows. Like their vision doesn't change, but the things around that vision there may be additions to it. Which I like that, because that's clearly a sign of growth. We bring them out the first week of January and we share them with each other. Just as a team, we look at how can we support them in their vision. Because if I know what your personal vision is, and I know it's my job to help you achieve that, because we're all in it together. It's not just business. It's business, family, it's the whole.
And that's the power of your team too. Testament to your team is the culture, and that's really how you're building it inside of a larger culture. You got your own little culture, which is really, really cool. So when you were approached, I called you for the mastermind this time around. I just called you outright and said, hey. So you could have said no, obviously. The question I've been asking everyone is, what drew you to it? Like what you could have said no. So what prompted you to just say, let me do that? Because it was a big investment of your time, especially.
I felt like it was an honor and a privilege. You and I know that you helped our team grow and develop over the years. I've known you since 2005 and 2006.
This
right?
is true.
So when Spencer calls and says, I have this and I would like you to be a part of it, I immediately say, I'm honored, I'm in, where do I show up? That's just because of all the value and as much as you poured into our team. I mean, I wouldn't miss it.
Oh, I appreciate that. So you had seen a track record, and you thought, hey, let me just check in on that. So is there anything you would suggest to help somebody if they're making the decision, hey, I'm going to go? How would you best suggest for them to be prepared?
Be prepared. I think coming into it is just have an open mind and be willing to learn and expect personal growth and development through it. I mean, because that's why I would think.
Yeah, you would assume.
I would think so.
Yeah, amazingly, a lot of people come to me because they're looking to make more money, and then when they when they get involved with what we're doing, we go deeper and we deal with different issues, which then invariably helps them make more money. It's just
exactly.
So it's funny too, because I think you're probably the second one so far, maybe the third one that has said to be best prepared, just come with an open mind. I didn't tell you that earlier, but that's been a very common statement. And I think when you come in with a blank slate and openness about it, you are much more prone to find a different path and that actually will move you forward. So what kind of people do you think would be a good fit for this, for the business mastermind, the one we do?
Small business owners, absolutely. Because the mindset, the way you move them through, and the mechanics of it, I just think that people may have a desire to open a business or have their own business, but having the mindset and the mechanics to move through the process to get you from entrepreneurial to business, right?
Right.
E to P. I think that this is that would be the ideal candidate.
Okay, so small business owners and anyone looking to really make a change from maybe they're hitting glass ceiling.
Right. Or if they have a team or wanting a team. Anybody that's in the growth and development stage of their business, like it's growing.
Which should be all the time.
Should be all the time. But taking it, like you said, the ceiling, if they're hitting the glass ceiling, that's a great time to go to something like this. It's definitely when they're in the growth mode, whether it's sideways or up.
Perfect. So what was your experience?
My experience was excellent. I love the people in the group. There's such a wealth of knowledge when you bring minds like that together and everybody shares. And the way you facilitated each of our meetings, it was an excellent.
Well, let's unpackage that a little bit. Can you think maybe of 2 or 3 takeaways that you were able to use right away, either in your life or your business, either one?
I mean, there was so much that come out of that. I mean, for me, I have to go back to my notes all the time and absorb everything because there was a lot coming fast. It was
a very, and for those that are wondering, we've actually extended the period of time. It used to be only an hour and a half, now it's 2 hours because it was very fast paced. What's the first thing that sticks out in your mind? I know you don't have your notes, but
the first thing that stuck out in my mind was when you did the box and you did the 4 corners and you had us track where we are in our business and where we are on our trajectory. And that was kind of eye-opening. I was a little further along than I would have probably thought. But using your system to gauge that on your diagram.
So she's referring to the map that we did at the very beginning, actually, that helps us identify what we call the Qualified Champions Quadrant. So understanding that map is actually foundational to the whole program, because if you don't know which pattern you're in, it's hard to figure out how to get into the purpose quadrant or the power quadrant that we call it, which is the Qualified Champions Quadrant. There's a lot of people out there that speak about being positive, and they got the mindset, but they don't have the mechanics.
Exactly.
And that would be the unqualified champion. That'd be the person that really has they're so heavenly minded, they're no earthly good, what I usually call that. And we can all get into that. Sometimes we do that with our relationships. We'll do that with our finances. We get in this Pollyanna pattern where everything's so great, but we really don't have the mechanics in place to actually have any results.
Right.
So that's a pattern that if you identify it, you know how to move yourself into purpose. Same thing for those that tend to hit the glass ceiling and deeply rooted because they know what they're doing. They got the mechanics, but they're basically qualified victims. Those are the ones that are below the line, and that group tends to be very adamant about what they're doing, and they have a hard time breaking into purpose. So we have to engage in mindset activities with them. So that was the first exercise we did that first night.
Second thing that was a good takeaway for me was when we talked about the haves and the have-nots. What do I do? Mm-hmm. And when we broke it down, I was pleased to find out the things that I was on track with. But there was a glaring need sitting out there. Mm. And so that one definitely goes in my to-do.
So that would be the resource assessment.
Yes.
And you're also the second person that brought that one up as well. The resource assessment was a big deal. I actually just did that with someone last week with an office team. They were just like, we got all these ideas. Hold on. So I got a big board and I just drew out 4 quadrants. I said, let's talk. What do we have? And so many business owners don't optimize the things they have that they want. Are we fuzzy? Don't be fuzzy. I don't know. It'll come back. There we go. There's some things in our business that we want and we don't have. So those things we have to go and pursue. And then there's things we don't want and we have. We need to purge those things. So the last person that talked about this, they ended up going back and firing somebody.
Oh, wow. I don't need to fire anybody. I just need, our need is very particular for our business.
Right. Yep. And so it gave you that awareness, at which point then you were able to go back and do something with it. Is there anything else, or are those just the two that really stick out to you?
Well, I also learned to be gracious and accept compliments.
That one was that was a little weird for a lot of people, actually.
It was weird for a lot of people.
Yeah. That was on the second night. We got into accountability, and that was a piece of it, that humility. So can you think of a specific result in your business or in your life that came out of all of this that you took?
And again, that's still processing.
Sure, you've made some big changes.
Because going back through the notes and everything, and we have made some big changes in the midst of going through this. So I think that is yet to be seen.
Yeah.
It all comes out of it.
Okay. So I was just looking to see if there was anything that we could attribute directly to it in either your life or your business. If not, I know that you've been making a lot of big changes.
I'm definitely making. I can't. I know I have something, but I just can't think of anything right offhand right now.
Okay. So what would your advice be to anyone who's considering making the investment going into this mastermind?
Well, I think it's definitely worthwhile. I mean, because being able to look at, I like putting things in their place. I'm very much that way. And the process helps you to put things in the place where they need to be and look at the whole picture. And you gave us the whole list with accountability and all the way down. That you can apply to absolutely everything. So if I have a takeaway, that list is probably my takeaway. Right. Because you can apply it to just about everything.
Yep. So there's nine parts to the qualified champion, and there's one is just understanding the math, and then there's 4 mindset pieces and 4 mechanics pieces. And that's so what I actually demonstrated with everybody in the group was after she did her training with everyone, which she did, by the way, in 7 minutes. It's not exactly easy to do. She did it in 7 minutes. So she did it in 7 minutes, and then I came up and we basically went down all of the mindset and mechanics pieces and extracted a tremendous amount of knowledge, which allowed everyone on how to actually hire, fire, or not necessarily fire, but hire and move people forward.
Yeah. And move them around if they're not in the right place.
Right. We even got into the belief systems, we got into focus, we got into all that stuff, which was extraordinary. Things that you had control over, things you didn't have control over, all of which we taught through the process of the Qualified Champion.
Which, as a business owner, because even as a realtor, you are a business owner.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're working with people, that list can be applied to just everything. I mean, everything in your business. If you're trying to make a decision, if you're trying to hire someone, you're trying to let someone go, you can track that right down the list every single time. So you walk away. That's what you walk away.
Yeah.
Because you have something that.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom, as always. And thank you to everyone. I keep looking over here, but there's a camera. So thank you, everybody, for being a part of what we're doing. And again, if you want to know anything, actually, if you're looking to do any kind of real estate activity and you want to get in touch with Peggy, what's the best way to get in touch with your email address, website?
My email is peggy@peggyfowler.com. And that's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me.
Peggy@peggyfowler.com. Honestly, if you want to know anything about even the brokerage she's with, Keller Williams, and she can actually give you a lot of direction where real estate is concerned. And it doesn't have to be in this state, because we're here in Columbia, South Carolina. Pretty much anywhere in the country, she can point you in the right direction. So if you want to know more about what I'm doing and Spencer Combs resources, you can always go to spencercombs.com, and all of our contact information is down at the bottom. I look forward to seeing you guys. Keep well and keep moving forward.